So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Human Equation online forum discussion series. On behalf of our organizers, Human Equation, I would like to thank the panelists and participants for joining us here today. I will be your moderator this evening, and my name is Gurit Kaur. I'm a consultant trainer for Human Equation. And if you're joining us for the first time, this is the seventh series in our online forum. And if this is your second or third time, welcome back, everyone. This particular event is actually called the Events Industry. Where do we go from here? Now, with the movement control order now in its fourth phase and restrictions on gatherings still in place, I'm sure all of us are affected in some way or another, none more so than our four panelists today. So today we'll be speaking to players in the event industry to find out more about what's been going on with them. We have with us here today, we have Mr. Alex Martin from Alex Martin Productions. We have Mr. Yusno Yunus, the CEO of Evenesis, Mr. Ui Tian Yu, the managing partner of Roots Asia Pacific, and Mr. Jason Martin from Sound Design. Thank you for being here, gentlemen.
Thank you for inviting.
No problem. Now, before we begin, let me bring in our host, Sheila Bingham from Human Equation. Sheila, would you like to say a few words before we start?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Most of you are probably looking forward to tomorrow, which is a public holiday. The thought came to me when this lockdown started, and I was asking myself, all our trainings have been put on hold. As we know it, we've been doing trainings all these years with classroom trainings. So I'm like, what do I do then? And I said, I'm not going to sit down and do nothing. Human Equation needs to carry on and just do things in a new way. And this is when we started up with a series of web forums. That was about more than a month ago, where we invite different players from different segments of the market, different industries, different topics to come on board and speak about their experience during this lockdown. What are they doing to innovate? And how do they see business continuity going on for the future, even after the MCO? And so we are doing that too. We're creating these conversations. We are giving people the platforms to say what needs to be said. We've got a series of interviews that is called 7 Minutes with Sheila Singham. 7 minutes because that's about all people can tahan, when it comes to sitting and listening to two people talking. We've got Humans Under Lockdown done by our consultants. So the thing is, before we carry on and I hand back to Gurut, I just want to tell all of you out there, I know for some of you times are dismal, but not doing anything is not an option. We all got to find new ways of doing business for business continuity to be ready for the new norm. Back to you, Gurut.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. All right. So following on what Sheila just said, she said, I know times are dismal, which is true, but we can't be sitting around doing nothing. Now, what I would like to start off with is to ask you, gentlemen, how has your business been affected by this lockdown? Maybe we'll start with Alex. Can we start with you first? You want to tell us what's been going on?
Yep, yeah. I would say this whole COVID and the whole infection hit us like we never expected it's going to happen, and it just overnight. For some sectors, like we had events planned for February, March, even April and May, and even right up to maybe the first week of March, we were still doing shows. Just towards the end of it, when I think on March 15th or 14th, there was announcement of the lockdown on March 18th, and that's when it really set in, the severity of it and how it is in Malaysia. And thereafter, of course, even shows that were done or were already set up were cancelled.
Right.
You go to the venue, you'd set up. My background, I do mostly sound system lighting and staging backline. So we had venues where we've already set up everything, and then we got a call, okay, the event has been cancelled. Yeah, and basically everything has been cancelled for me right until December.
Right.
People are actually
right until December. That's wow. Okay.
Like sporting events and all those stuff. There's nobody's talking about this year. Concerts we're talking about next year, March, April.
Right. Thanks, Alex. Now, Yusno, how about you? What about your business? Has it been affected? I'm sure it has, but in how, to what extent?
All right. For us, definitely, as with any other, I think, events company out there, even though we are not doing events, we are more into supporting the event organizers. We are basically the tech players, so we do software development, we do registration solutions, mobile app for the event, business events, exhibitions, conferences. So in fact, the week before PKP was, or the MCO was introduced, we were actually in KK, Kota Kinabalu, with an event, and right after we came back, we heard the news, and then suddenly all the events, as Alex mentioned, that has been scheduled will basically either postpone or cancel. So no physical events since day one of MCO till today. And what we've been seeing is the shift of interest from physical events to definitely virtual, like what we are doing now.
Okay.
And of course, we're looking into hybrid as well, most probably post MCO.
Okay, all right.
That's the situation we are in.
Great. Can you? How about yours?
Okay, as you know, Roots, we are actually part of a network of marketing communications company where actually we provide activation, event management, digital marketing, and also PR, influencer marketing. So how the MCO has actually affected us, it's definitely affected us as a whole. However, the minimal impact was on our digital and what happened is that our PR, there is still people still are doing a bit of digital PR, but the most hard hit would be our activation division. So most of it, like what they mentioned, it's cancelled and postponed. But what we see is that when the first phase, it was more like, okay, cancel everything. Second phase is like, okay, let's wait and see, right? Because they can't do anything. And we noticed that by the third and fourth now, people are starting to say, hey, I think we have to do something about it, you know, and you do see some activities really. Clients are asking us to start looking at virtual events, webinars and all that. So during the first 1.5 months, our team was actively learning, using more actively, because even before this, we are doing some virtual that complement our on-ground events. So that is happening on our side.
Right. Okay. How about you,
Okay.
Jason? How has your business been?
Okay, just like what our panelists have shared, same goes to me as well. So sound design is basically event management company. Alongside, we also have our own sound system and lighting. We are also a service provider. So since the MCO, our last event took place in the mid of in March, before the MCO was implemented. And we also have planned out, because we work with a lot of corporate clients, so they have planned their events accordingly throughout the year. So when the MCO was implemented, or even before that, when people already know that the COVID-19 is going to be a little bit disruptive to a lot of people's livelihood, so they started postponing their events. And many of them postponed to further dates, which they would not know when they're going to do their events again. And when you postpone their events, and like what we're facing right now, we would not know what is the future is going to be, what actions are going to be taken, or how the methods are going to be implemented in the future for this event to take place. Because now it's all people oriented. We are handling the events face to face people. Now we cannot do that, right? And also revenue is gone down to zero. But not to forget, we also have our overheads, like rentals. We have to pay our staffs. We also do have to pay our amenities, for our stores and all that. And not forgetting as well, clients are also going through some hard times at the moment. So the collection of payments from our clients at the moment is also is a difficult task. You can't go to them and say, you got to pay up, and we also got to understand that they are also going through this hardship. So this is where our understanding with our clients comes into play.
Right. Okay, that's great. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing that. Now, can you? I just want to follow up with something that you said just now. You mentioned that during the different phases that we went through, the first phase, everyone is going like, "Oh my goodness," like, "Oh my God, stop everything." And then came the second phase, and we go like, "Oh my God, this is really happening." And then so it became a matter of the mindset had to change. Am I right?
Yeah.
So which then brings me to the next question. So if we know that this is really happening, we can't run away from this now.
Yeah.
What are you doing to ensure business continuity right now, can you?
Okay, I mean, I think it starts from yourself, because I think we didn't have any rehearsal for COVID-19, right? So everyone just got hit just like that. So I think what we are doing now is that, including myself, we have to relearn and also repurpose our roles, right? So in terms of people, we are also repurposing their experience to support our digital services and our clients, right? So, and also retraining to organize virtual events and webinars, but combining it with digital PR and also digital marketing to assist our clients to still continue to engage with their customers. I mean, you've got a lot of people running virtual events and all that, but how do you differentiate yourself? So we fortunately as a group, we have our digital marketing services and digital PR services. So that actually comes into play quite a lot now. In terms of business, we are actually collaborating with other partners. Partners could be another PR agency, for example. They need capability to run their events virtually. So we will support them in that way, and then they will run the PR side. And very similarly, we work with media agencies. They still want to promote marketing activities, but through virtual events, and they are able to buy digital ads to promote that event. So we are seeing that a lot of collaboration happening, because I think this is the way we see it's going to forward, and we see that there's an opportunity for even local companies to go global and regional, because in the past you need to travel overseas physically to meet your customers and all that. But now, like what you mentioned, is a new norm now, right? And we see that clients are beginning to say, hey, look, it's not that gloom, that you can actually go out and reach out to customers, regionally and globally. So
Okay.
those are some of the things that we see.
Okay, so with you, because your nature of your business is digital marketing and all that, it may be possible to ensure business continuity in that sense. But Alex, for you, it is like you need to be boots on the ground, right? How are you managing with this?
Basically, right now we're just focusing a lot on brand presence and keeping in touch with clients. But we also start so-called home delivery rental of equipment. If you notice, almost everybody now is a DJ, and everybody is doing like live streams from home. So we do weekly packages for CD players, for turntables, or even like live streaming software or interfaces that they need.
Excellent. Is it the same for you, Jason? How are you managing? What's your business continuity plan looking like?
At the moment, we also do understand that we've got to keep, the most importantly, our cost as minimum as we can, to sustain our business, because there's no income at all. So we're keeping our costs as minimal as possible, and we don't also intend to purchase anything at the moment to upgrade our system or our sound system for that matter, because unless need requires, only then we will purchase. And also keeping in touch with the new trend technologies that we can use in order for us to have events online, but also be reminded at all times this event industry is a people's industry. We need to connect personally. We got to meet them in person. That's where the connection really happens. So this new norm of doing digitally is something that we got to learn, and it'll take a bit of time. So I'm also working towards that. Not to forget, I'm also a DJ and an MC myself, so I keep my DJing presence on, like what Alex was saying, going live and getting new ideas to enhance my skills as well. A lot of tutorials are out there for us to learn, so getting to know what's really going to be happening in the near future, so I'll be prepared.
Great. And what's Evenesis doing, Yusuf?
For us as a technology company, I mean, we have always talked about being agile in the company. So when basically MCO kicked in, we decided to just look into what do we have and how could we pivot our business model to serve the current market. Straight away, we looked at onboarding our existing clients without looking at the financial yet, into the online mode, training them, doing regular webinars just to advise them on how they could shift quickly to doing something like this easily, more like a training on a weekly basis. But luckily enough, my team, they were very supportive in terms of making quick changes. So within the past 30 days, we have actually launched two sort of like big initiatives. So the first one, right, 1 week after MCO basically was announced, we launched the online events portal. So basically the entire team went out there and aggregate all of the online events that are happening. and just put it in one aggregated portal and then give it to the public for free. So this is just for instead of you go and watch Netflix at home, this is a time for you to just spend time to learn something, right? So that's the first thing that we quickly do, get everyone together and launch. Then we looked at what we have. So basically, we are very good in terms of integrating solutions. So we build solutions and integrating them. So we know that people use like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, GoToWebinar, a lot of virtual meeting platforms out there. So we decided to actually integrate our solution directly to this platform. So instead of having two separate platforms that you have to use, you can now just use Evenesis to get people to come to your event, your webinar, register on our platform. If you want to charge them, most probably they don't. Right now, you're seeing a lot of free events, right? But if you're charging events, you can actually use our solution. We integrate back to the payment gateway, etc. So the database management, all of this, we are giving it out for our clients for them to actually experience it. And bear in mind, it took us 3 to 4 years previously, when we first started back in 2010, to educate the events industry to adopt technology. And guess what? Within 1 to 2 weeks after MCO, everybody basically knows how to do virtual meeting, right?
Yeah, because we didn't have a choice, did we?
Exactly. So it is an exciting time, although I know we are all feeling the stress of running businesses, but at the same time, I believe there are a lot of opportunities out there.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Now, okay, we talked about the new norm, but let's face it, life as we knew it is never, ever going to be the same again. We are never going to go back to what we thought. So what I want to know now is moving forward, yeah, even when the lockdown has been removed, when we are free to move around a bit more freely, but like I said, life as we know it is never going to be the same. People will still be cautious about going to events, gathering at functions. So what do you think event companies can do? What can they innovate for the future? So we cannot just focus on the now. We now need to start thinking about post phase 4, phase 5, or whatever, how many other phases are going to come in. What's going to happen in the future? How are we going to innovate for the future? So maybe can I start with Jason? What do you think? What are you going to do differently next time?
Okay. Firstly, I think this is going to take a bit of time, and we need to get the proper guidelines, SOPs from the authorities, like what can be done and cannot be done, because we can plan and we can have our strategies on how we're going to move forward, but we also definitely have some guidelines, because there's definitely not going to be any physical events. There's for example, there's ain't going to be any family day for a matter or annual dinners. That's out of the question, right? So people will first have to be clear that they for their conscience, they must say that, okay, it is safe now for me to go out to participate in events and things like that. So we need to get the guidelines first, and then in order for us to follow the guidelines, step up, and then we can move. And also the necessities, like we have to have the disinfection tunnel at hotels, in case it's okay to do events in the hotels. The equipment that are going in and coming out, people are coming in for the events. It's going to be difficult though. Imagine that you are dressed up in your beautiful evening gown, and then you still have to wear the mask and walk around. So we got to accept those changes. So that's going to be a little bit difficult. But what I see, this is all forthcoming. Is something that we need to adapt and accept and say this is the new norm, and we got to go on. And also looking at the venues, they have to also be playing their part, keeping the venues disinfected, prior to the event, after the event. So a lot of health issues will be the first priority, because we need to get the confidence of the people that it's safe now to go out and participate or take part in events.
Okay. We do have a question here from Arati. Arati, just hold on to that question for 1 minute. Let's hear from the panelists, and we'll come back to you. Yeah, just give me a minute. Alex, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Jason that we've got to work a lot with all the health authorities and all the guidelines and take into account all the preventative measures. But people will still need to be entertained. People still want to go. People still need. Sam Hui, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he did an online concert, raise funds for COVID, and he was a one-man show, and it was broadcasted live. Denmark yesterday, they brought back an old trend of drive-in theaters, but they actually did a drive-in concert. They sold 500 tickets in 6 hours. They built a big stage. It was exactly like a concert, but everybody was in their car. And the music, they didn't use audio. They actually transmitted via your FM radio channel. So you'll be in your car, you look at the concert in front of you, but you're listening it through your radio. And then the next day it was turned into a cinema. So I would think that this be more of a type of stuff.
This is the way of the future.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. Tian, what do you think?
I think the way we look at it, physical events like what Alex mentioned earlier, I think give it a year or so, then probably it will still come back. But if it comes back, it's probably a privilege to be able to organize a
Yes.
physical event. So virtual events and online conferences, webinars is here to stay. What we are looking at is that a hybrid whereby you may still run little smaller events, but it's going to be broadcast to a bigger audience, right? Because clients still need to reach out to their consumers, in some ways or the other. So I think people will be getting more and more creative, and I think someone also mentioned about having face to face and also the feeling of meeting people. But I think as technology improve, like what this concert is doing, I think that's quite interesting, where you listen to the radio, and watching the concert at the same time. I mean, the gap between physical and virtual events will probably get closer, and and I think that's the future, like, and I think there's a lot. It's not just about events, but we look at it from a consumer journey, from invitation right down to after the event. What do you do with the information or data? We've got so much data, like what we are doing today. You are able to tell who actually attended, and what can we do after this. So I think that is where we look at it, and we cannot do it alone. And I think even in the past, we've been collaborating with partners that we call frenemies, because some of them, they may compete with us in certain areas, but we complement each other in other areas. So I think that's the approach that we are taking.
Okay, great. So, you're the technology guy. You're the man of the hour now, okay? What is it that you and your team and other technology companies are going to have to do to innovate for the future? You're gonna have to help the rest of us out, man.
So I believe within the next 6 to 12 months, it's going to be hybrid events all the way. So simply because of the mass gathering restrictions, and in fact, even in the States, they have came up with a guideline of not allowing more than 50 packs. So I think right now in Malaysia, people are using that as a guideline first until our government basically sets a standard on what constitutes a mass gathering. So what we would see is events are broken down into smaller pieces. So they could do a series of events. So like in China, where when the museum started opening, right, they do scheduled sessions. So they have to book in advance. So you could go in and choose maybe session from 10 to 12 up to 50 packs. And then the rest who cannot go in either choose a different session, or they can just go online. So online will always be there.
In other words, you're saying that all events are going to have to be a lot more structured.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot more structured, and organizers will be looking at cost saving as well. So technologies now have to look into saving them costs in terms of running the events, because they now know that if you do virtual events, you don't have to rely a lot on, of course, the on-site thing that they normally do. So they just have to balance this out. In terms of technology, more things will come out rather than just virtual platform like what we're doing.
So we have
yeah, go ahead.
We have a really good question here from Arati. She wants to know what are the options available for events that are celebratory rather than corporate or meeting or knowledge sharing. What options are available? Like how do I plan a wedding? How do I plan a family function, a birthday, a child's christening, or whatever it is? How do we do this?
I think Ken, you also mentioned that we will have to look into the possibility of marrying the physical and online events. So this definitely involves hybrid to a certain extent, where you would have to cap your your celebratory functions to a certain max that are basically being constituted by the government. So we have to look into that. We have to follow that, but at the same time, we have to use platforms like this. Even I think some of our birthday celebrations right now are all done over Zoom, right?
Yeah.
I think some of my daughter recent celebration, we all did it in Zoom with all different family members coming in at one time and then singing together at the same time. So it is possible to do that via virtual meeting. It's just a matter of coordinating that and fully understanding the technologies that are available out there.
Okay, great. I think this next question here, I'm going to address this to Jason and maybe Alex as well, yeah? So it's from Nurul Shapriza, how could virtual events help equipment rental companies that supply AV, lighting, and sound systems?
Like at this moment of time, I believe that like Alex is doing something nice, which is well thought of. It's like when you have like a small event in your house, we can supply it to you to use it, to set it up for you, and then you can use it at your
Mm.
place. But having the system, depending on how your event is, how big your event is, which is now you was also saying that it's all moving towards the online and all that.
Mm.
So people like us will have more difficulties in coming bouncing back
Mm.
rather than those are already in the industry, like I was actually doing online businesses. So
Okay.
I think it'll be a challenging thing for us who have
Right.
physical equipment and they are parked in the store.
Right. Alex, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, okay. I think you still do live events or like you still need so maybe some lighting, some background. Yeah, do what all our big speakers do that always collecting dust in the store and we focusing on small monitors and stuff,
Mm.
groups of 10 packs or so.
Okay, great. Can you, maybe you want to take this next question. It's from Angie. Yeah? She says, thanks for the fruitful sharing. May I ask, for students who are currently taking event management programs, how should we convince them that the career opportunity is still out there? Good question. If we are digitalizing the event, will there be any demand for more manpower?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think they have to look at event management not as an event management anymore. They need to look at the entire profession more of a marketing consultant, right? I mean, if you do just event, there's no event for you to manage. So you need to be more versatile. That means you have to train yourself to be more familiar with, let's say, from even designing of EDM right down to actually to managing the event physically and also doing lead generation after the event. Because as you know, we may need 20 people to run a physical event, but you may only need 2 or 3 people to run actually a virtual event. So that it is all about a mindset change, and also relearning, what we are supposed to do,
Yeah.
and I think we need to do that.
Can I just
Okay, great.
chip in on
Sure,
that?
yes, please.
I think a new job opportunity will be created. So when we are now into virtual events, right? So most probably there will be something like digital event manager. So these are the new jobs that will be
Right.
created that will
Yeah.
help people to produce
Yeah.
better online events. Because right now, you look, we are just doing what we can right now. We are not being prepped. We are not having enough good lightings and nice backgrounds and good quality of audio, those kind of things. So I mean, these event players and these new students who are coming up from the universities can actually come in and grab this opportunity.
Great. So Joanna has a question. Do you think the hybrid events will limit the creativity in event planning, looking at major scale product launches and brand events?
I think it opens up a new realm with a mix of maybe augmented reality and with virtual reality. I think the sky's the limit. Probably be ending up as the new norm, because that's what we're not familiar with today. But 15 years down the road, it will be how every other event is done.
So, in other words, we're creating blue oceans here.
Yeah, it's uncharted waters.
Very much.
Can I say something here?
Sure, Sheila.
What we are all working with now is what we call innovating within a closed world. So when we tell you to think outside the box, is to go out and look for resources outside of our environment. Right now, we're all restricted by a lockdown. We're restricted by social distancing. Even when we are the MCO is lifted, everyone's not going out to parties and socializing unless they're really daft, okay? And unless a vaccine is found and we find cheap ways of testing people at the door, which you just do a test and within a few seconds it's available and you can go, people are going to be very, very careful. So now we need to look within the closed world. We're already doing that. All of you are gentlemen. For me personally, I was thinking, hey, no more events. How are we going to continue? And you have all given some amazing, amazing ideas of how you have actually pivoted. You've just innovated. That is called closed world innovation. True innovation, the greatest innovations happen within a closed world. So to answer that question, Joanna, I think the hybrid events, what we're going to be required to to be doing in the future is going to be innovation in the best, purest form. And it's not going to be limiting creativity. It's going to make all of you stretch your creativity to the maximum. And you're going to come up with some great, amazing solutions. Because a time of pandemic is the time when people have been at their most creative. So on the note of positivity, let's not look at doom and gloom. Let's just be stretching our boundaries to find out how we can do that closed world innovation.
Great. One more question from Jida Zainal Azman. What do you think will change to the entertainment/concert since the nature of the event itself making social distancing quite difficult? However, an online concert may not quite be the solution. I think I know what she means, because you know how we've been getting free concerts. Astro has been showing us free concerts, and I was watching this Coldplay concert that was going on, and I know that my daughter actually attended the Coldplay concert in person in Auckland a few months back. And so, you know, and I was asking her to make that comparison, and of course there is no comparison. So what do you think is going to change in this arena now, entertainment and concerts? Gentlemen, anyone? Alex.
I would still go back to like what they did in Denmark. That instead of using an FM, I think you actually should do it like a concert, so with proper sound system. So you have, it's true. You know, it's the concert online and being in an actual venue is completely different. You don't get the space. You don't get that energy itself.
Yeah, the vibes from everyone, isn't it?
You don't feel it. So you could do this. That's it. How we do the drive-in while maintaining social distancing. So you're still present at a concert. It's just that you're not engaging enough with a lot of people.
So that's going to mean changes to the actual venue itself, isn't it?
Yeah, this could be, in a way, it could solve a lot of issues, like we're banning all our outdoor concerts because we're worried about people doing funny stuff. But if everybody's in the car, but it may not work for race, but concert ban, concert, yeah, it could.
Right. Okay. One more question. I think probably this might have to be our last question from Joha Mizan Rizal. Since we're moving towards hybrid events or virtual exhibitions, how can we pull crowds in a particular event or exhibition? This one's for you, Tianyu.
So thanks for the question. Like I mentioned, we treat an event. It's also like a marketing activity. So planning from invitation to even pre-promote this event. I mean, like this session, you have reached out to partners, and also we have also published it in our social media and our real estate. I think this is the way to go. You may in the past may have just looked at your own database, for example, but by combining strength, I would say borrow strength from a different party, look at your product. If there is any complementing services or even other products that you can actually work with, that will actually expand your reach. You may have 100 people in your database, but by combining 5 other partners or 3 or 4 other partners, each of them has 100 people, your event suddenly become so many, right? And the attendees. And like I mentioned, don't limit yourself in just Malaysia, right? But with today's technology, you can actually reach out. This segment itself can be shared with whoever that is watching from your Denmark or your Sweden and all that may want to market to this part of the world. So make use of our language. We are a multilingual country. They may need certain skills that we actually have. So it's more like exporting your services.
So it gives new meaning to globalization, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so one final question I just have for all of you. Advice to companies that are anxious about hopping onto the digital bandwagon.
Well, I think after MCO, I don't think any of us out there are basically anxious about technology. So you just have to, because right now you have to order using your phone, right? Food.
It
right?
has become our best friend now.
Exactly. So because of it, there is no choice. You just have to adopt quickly. So this is something that we call new normal, and this is something that we expect to see a lot more things are being adopted quickly, especially in the events era. And in fact, some of the new technologies that previously was quite late to be adopted, like virtual reality, augmented reality, where people are using goggles, now are being in place to replace the physical exhibitions. So we are getting a lot of inquiries recently to do a lot of demo in terms of how we could actually build virtual reality booth, where people can just sit at home and can go into the booth, turn right, turn left, move in front, and actually experience the entire event just like how they are doing it in the physical world. And this also can relate back to the previous question where they are asking about these live concerts, those kind of things. Once you have VR being accepted and the cost is driven down, people can just feel like they are actually in a concert from home. So I believe this is the future.
Thank you. Gentlemen, Alex, Jason, Yusno, Tian Yu, I just want to say thank you so much for the insight. And for someone who is not as tech savvy as you guys probably are, I think you have given me a lot of peace of mind, and it's given me hope for the future that we can still enjoy life the way we used to, but in a different way. Oh, I just noticed that there's one last question that's come in. Do you mind if we just answer one last question? I don't want to go without answering this last one. Yeah, it's from Navina. She says, "While it's great that we are moving to digital platforms, how do we maintain profitability if most virtual events in the past few weeks are being offered for free?" She has got a very good point.
I think maybe I can answer that as
Thank
well.
you. Thank you.
I think what we find is that the content is still very important and being creative, because as much as, let's say, clients can do all these webinars themselves, but they still need to have creativity to put in to attract people, to continue engaging consumer that comes to the webinar, and also at the end of the day, I think they would definitely see the return. I mean, if they can do it themselves, and not paying for it, and drive a business, I think all of us would not be here anymore. So I think we should also focus on what we know best and do it better, and for those that claim that they can also run webinars and also use the technology, is good, so that they know that the benefit of using technology. But how do you bring it to give more return? I think it's for us to be able to advise.
It's in the content.
Yeah, it's in the content.
Great. So I'm going to just hand you over to Sheila for the last few words before we end the session.
Thank you, Gurrit.
Thanks.
It's been a really interesting session. And I am personally not a tech person myself. I'm terrified of technology before. But in, as you say, 42 days, I'm pretty cool, My sort of like navigating between one platform and the other, creating all these platforms. Of course, I've got amazing help from Joanna and Gurrit and Vanita, Regina, and the rest of the team. But it's been an amazing journey. Now, for everyone who says, it's going to a virtual concert is not the same as a real concert. Going to a proper normal event, it's not the same as a virtual event. I just want to say something. I love playing in the rain, right? And I love to go out and stand in the rain and play. But in a time when, there is no rain, a time of drought and there's no rain, if I want to play in the rain, then I'll go and stand under the shower and I'll just use my imagination and I will imagine that I am in the rain. And this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to stretch our minds. We cannot say we want the same old until times are normal again. So we are going to be a people who are making the best out of being under lockdown. We're making the best out of the technology that we have, and we are going to create new technologies. We're making the best about everything that is within our close world. And if this becomes the norm for the next 1 year, 18 months until the vaccine is discovered and we all can get vaccinated and freely go out, we will adapt and we will embrace this. So, gentlemen, to the industry, I say it's tough, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And a lot of times it's also up here. And so let's go out there and do something. Start somewhere, however small, start somewhere. Because when you're static and you're frozen and you don't know where to go on, you just get more and more scared. But if you actually take a step and start doing something like I did with this, and I'm getting more and more excited about these platforms, then, the energy of doing creates the energy of attracting the things that you need into your life. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Sheila.
Gentlemen, I'm very grateful, and it's been an absolute honor to be able to talk to you today and for the insights that you've given. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today. We really appreciate the time, and we hope this has benefited you in some way. So, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, be good, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you
Have
for
a great
having us.
weekend.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe, guys. Bye.